Mr. Dickover.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'll shut my video off once the meeting gets started because it should only be board members and their consultants.
How are you?
At least that's been our practice. I'm well. How are you?
Okay.
A little too busy, my friend. A little too busy.
That's the strange thing about it. First, I guess March and part of April, things were very slow other than answering a lot of questions about how to conduct these meetings and noticing them. Can we meet and can't we meet? We spent an awful lot of time doing that, but then all of a sudden it just got busy as can be.
Yeah. Yeah, too bad. Oh, wait a second. Time out.
Take one. Welcome to the Woodbury Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I could get used to having meetings like this now.
This is the Woodbury Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We normally meet the second Wednesday of every month. We have not been meeting due to the pandemic. This is our first virtual meeting, so if there are any glitches, please excuse us. We're kind of new to this. Our Master of Technology is Mayor Timothy Egan.
Oh, easy.
Our ZBA counsel is Mr. Robert Dickover. Our recording secretary is Jessica McLennan. And our board members are Mr. Joseph DiVenuto, Mr. Craig Brady, Mr. Kevin Abrams, and our newest member, Mr. Andrew Zumas. So welcome to our meeting. We're going to go right to the agenda. We do not have an executive session. Has everyone read the minutes for March 11th?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept those minutes as written?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? None? Okay. I'm going to take roll call because we're doing this virtually. That way we know how everybody's voting. Joe, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So minutes are accepted. New business. I do not know. I don't know who Mylan's iPad is. I don't know if that's our applicant or if the phone is, so I will ask. New business is the Vite application. This is an extension request of the variance granted on December 11th, 2019, filed with the village clerk's office on December 12th, 2019. This was a decision late last year with regard to building a home on a lot that's basically landlocked. Is the applicant here, Mr. or Mrs. Vite? Council, we can proceed without them, can't we?
I believe you can, yes.
Okay. This property has a history going back about 15 years. Our decision last year was, excuse me, had several conditions attached to it, which I'm sure he's aware of. The building department is also aware. I don't know if the state's going to grant any further extensions on any of these applications due to the pandemic, but right today, we can give a 90-day extension according to our code. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Dickover?
No, I think an extension can be appropriate pursuant to the request that was made without going into its details. They asked for a 1-year extension. I think that may be a bit long. You suggested 90 days, which would be appropriate, or even 6 months if the board was inclined. I think would also be appropriate.
Well, I was thinking 90 days just because that's what our code says. And if the state comes in and says that, because Gary alluded to the fact that possibly the state was going to come in and give an extension because of the COVID-19.
Yeah, especially with Steve Renicky passing too. That was his attorney, so.
Yeah, yeah. And he's got to copy us with all the correspondence to the Orange County clerk. And, you know, I don't know, I'm sure the lawyer was taking care of a good part of that. So do we have any discussion on this? before I open up to the public? Oh, I don't have to open up this public, do I?
No, you don't. This is
Okay.
not a matter for public
Right.
comment.
Okay. Does anybody have any discussion on this?
I'm good.
Any feelings on one way or the other, granting a 90-day extension?
If I may.
Sure, Joe?
I believe I read in the paper that they were working on the legislation to do something with the variances. And I believe it was at the Assembly. I'm not so certain about the Senate. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't grant the 90-day. I think that that would be appropriate, totally.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to grant the 90-day extension to the right?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Take a roll call to see how we vote. Joe?
I vote aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the bite application gets a 90-day extension. Okay, next on the agenda is action on decisions. We're not doing any action on decisions yet because we haven't made that decision. Correct, Mr. Dickover?
Correct. You have on the agenda the CAD sign application also.
But I thought we would do that at the end for the, after deliberations, make a
Right.
decision there.
Right.
Okay. All right, public hearing, CAD signs. This is the Aldi application, continuation of the public hearing for an area variance to permit the installation of signage having 5 colors, corporate logo, located in the freestanding monument sign at the entrance to the shopping place known as Woodbury Center. Whereas pursuant to section 310-30D1E, a maximum of 3 colors are permitted. Said property is located in the IB zoning district at Center Drive and Central Valley and is known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as section 225, block 2, lot 1.12. This application goes back a while, but at the last meeting, we had not yet received the 239 from the county, so we carried the public hearing over to the next meeting, which is tonight. We did receive the 239 we received it April 1st, but it's dated March 24th, and it left it up to local determination. Is there any discussion before I open this up to the public? We pretty much,
I'm good with this.
yeah, we were good with it last time too. We just were waiting for the 239
Right.
county. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this application? I have people here, I don't know who they are, Mylan's iPad and 12015434207.
I'm
Okay.
monitoring both Facebook, Karen, and the messaging through Zoom. Nothing there.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing for Aldi? Kat,
I'll make that motion.
second?
I'll second it.
All right, let's take a roll call vote. Joe?
I vote aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So that public hearing is now closed. Next on the agenda is Buckley public hearing for a special permit for the use of an existing second dwelling unit for a family member, Maria Vigliani, pursuant to section 310-35 of the Village Code. Said property is located in the R1A zoning district at 4 Van Buren Court in Highland Mills and is known on the tax maps as section 238, block 1, lot 4. This is an existing mother-daughter that never received a special permit for mother-daughter. It has a certificate of occupancy and a building permit going back to 2012. We are in receipt of a letter. I don't know what the relationship of this woman is, if she's a neighbor, friend, or what. Claiming that the woman who lived there, the 92-year-old mother, no longer lives there because she was hospitalized. And after she came out of the hospital, she wasn't unable to live there. So she's living in Cornwall. I did Google her name and it gave a Cornwall address. So is the applicant here tonight?
Yes, I am.
Is this Mr. Buckley?
Yes, it is.
Can you explain your mother-in-law's residence at
Yes,
this point?
yes, absolutely. She's living right now because she did have a stroke. She's living with my wife's sister. She will be returning shortly as soon as she's able to. The reason why she's in Cornwall right now is because she doesn't work. My wife's sister doesn't work, and my wife does, and we don't want to leave her here by herself right now. But the apartment is still ready to go for her as soon as she's strong enough to return.
Do you have an anticipated date for that?
I do not right now.
Council, can he leave since no one's living there, can he leave the stove and whatever in there in anticipation, or does he have to remove it and then come back?
Well, there's no one living there now, so there's no harm in leaving it in place. He'll be applying for his permit when someone moves in.
So can we grant, so if she's not living there now, can we grant the permit this evening?
I don't know why not.
The permit itself gets signed by the person who is identified as going to live there. So as long as we have identified the occupant, you could move on this application this evening.
Okay, so we could approve this if need be, if that's the way it's going to go.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't see why not.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this from the board?
I just have a quick question. When the initial, I was just looking through the paperwork. When this initially occurred in 2012, was it done for the same person, or was it done for a different person?
No, it's my mother-in-law, same person.
Okay.
She was 85 then, she's 93 now.
God bless her.
Yeah.
Still going, like the Energizer Bunny.
There you go.
Any further discussion on this? Is there any from,
Pretty cut and dry.
is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to this application? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Oh, no,
Before you do,
it's not a public, it is a public hearing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
before you do that, there is a person on the Zoom chat who writes, this is from the Mylands iPad participant whose video is blocked right now, and they write, I will on Van Buren Court and Highland Mills. I imagine they meant to write, I live on Van Buren Court and Highland Mills. I received a letter in my mailbox to log on. Looks like a neighbor wants permission for something. Okay, thanks.
Well, I think they're referring to the permission for the mother-daughter.
Yeah, Robert,
Right.
you're only seeing half the chat message. I was chatting with that person. They were responding to everybody in response to my questions. That's why it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Is it on this application? Or is it on the Levin application that follows?
Well, Van Buren Court is the Buckley application.
They simply write okay. I see nothing further on the Zoom chat feature nor on the Facebook page.
The okay response was in response to my question or statement that if they had a comment on the application, just to please let me know and I'll make sure that the chairperson is aware. That's what the response was about.
Oh, okay, that's what, okay. So it was out of
Yeah, that
context.
makes sense. I was sending it privately. They were responding to everybody.
Madam Chair, we also have an unidentified phone caller. Perhaps Mr. Egan can get that person to identify themselves by either logging into the chat feature on the Zoom page or in the Village Facebook page, or picking up the phone and asking them to identify themselves.
Was that not the applicant that was just speaking?
That's
Yes,
the applicant. Yes, it is.
Yeah. But he was with us earlier. No, he wasn't.
4207 is the applicant, correct?
yes.
That's correct.
And then just for the record on this application, Madam Chair, the dwelling unit for additional family member codes provisions 310-35 states that the additional unit may only be used for up to 2 additional persons directly related to the owners. Second, the requirement that single-family dwelling may be expanded up to 25% to a maximum of 1,000. The floor area of the principal dwelling unit to accommodate the new unit. I don't think that's applicable here. 3, all bulk dimensional requirements of the district in which the dwelling is located must be complied with. B, in the event the property is sold or the additional unit is vacated, the permit will become null and void. The property shall be restored to its original single-family status, and permanent cooking facilities such as a stove shall be removed. E, the applicant or the property owner shall provide to the zoning board names of all persons who intend to occupy the additional unit. Homeowner and intended occupants shall sign the special permit upon its approval by the ZBA. And lastly, all facilities are subject to an annual inspection by the building department. With that on the record, this is a type 2 action for secret purposes, and the matter was not required to be referred to the county planning department. I think with that in hand, the board, if you were going to grant this permit, would need to make the following findings pursuant to 310-35. The first one being the additional dwelling unit will be used only by the applicant's mother, a person directly related to the owner. The additional dwelling unit is already constructed with less than 1,000 square feet of floor area. Single-family home within which the primary and additional dwelling units are located comply with all bulk dimensional requirements. The bill and the property owner applicant has or will provide the village building department with the name of all persons who intend to occupy the additional unit. The board is able to make those findings. The motion to approve the application would be in order.
Is that it, Mr. Dickover?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, my
anything-
formal operating.
Any further discussion? All right, do I have
I'm
a,
good.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm ready. Move on.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? I'll make that motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
And I'll take a roll call. Craig?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the public hearing is closed for Buckley. We are at the end of the meeting, Mr. Buckley. We will come up with our decision. You're willing, you can hang around, or you could call the building department tomorrow. It's up to you.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
All righty, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Next public hearing is 11 for a special permit, new property owners for the continued use of an existing second dwelling unit for a family member, Leah Levin, pursuant to section 310-35 of the Village Code. Said property is located in the R1A zoning district at 4 Berwick Circle in Highland Mills and is known on the tax maps as section 249, block 1, lot 58. Mr. Levin is here. He was here before some of our board members. Welcome to Woodbury, sir.
Good evening.
Sorry it took so
Mr.
long
Levin.
to get a meeting for your,
Not a problem.
dwelling.
There's been something going on, I hear.
yeah. So I looked at the application and I looked at the diagram that you attached, and I consulted with the building department, and it seems that the basement area does exceed the 1,000 square foot requirement. However, the permit was originally issued in 2010, and the code for the 25% with a maximum of 1,000 feet didn't go into effect until 2011. So my opinion is, and building department too, is that you should probably be grandfathered in. Is there any discussion from the board on this?
I definitely agree.
You're so easy tonight, Kevin.
I know. I got soda here. I got my nice comfortable chair.
Anyone else have anything to say on the 11 application with the, it's 200, it's, let's see, 264 square feet over the 1,000 square foot limit, but that's from 2010.
Right, it would seem reasonable that probably in searching for a home, he was already looking for a mother-daughter, right?
I would
sure.
think, yeah, this would be quite a hardship.
So
He said no.
it would only make sense that since it was an existing mother-daughter, that it be grandfathered in context.
Anyone else?
And Mr. Thomasberger said that in his email, correct?
Yes, he did. He said they're not proposing expanding or making any changes to the pre-existing floor plans and therefore should be grandfathered. Those were his exact words.
Yeah, we just bought a new house. I don't want to make any more changes.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Second? I'll second it. How do we vote? Craig?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the public hearing is closed. And the same as, we're going to discuss this at the end where it says deliberations on closed public hearings, which is coming up now.
Madam Chair, before you leave this one, let the record reflect that the Zoom chat feature shows no members of the public entering that feature, nor does the Facebook page. And so there appears to be no public comment on the application.
Yeah, I didn't ask. I should have asked. I'm sorry about that.
Also, just again for the record, this matter was referred to county planning under 239 requirement of the general municipal law. That department reported back to the board by its letter dated April 6th that it was a matter of local determination. And this too would be a type 2 action under SECRA, and therefore no further environmental review is being required of the board.
Okay. All right. We do not have a building inspector's report, so we will deliberate on the closed public hearings. Council, is this where we would discuss or read the decision for the CAD Aldi sign?
Right. The board at the meeting back in March went through the 5 factors and made determination or findings based upon those 5 factors. I was directed to prepare a decision of the board consistent with those findings. I have done so. I believe you are in possession of it, and that would be the decision that would be up for vote by the board this evening.
Craig?
Since Mr. Levin is waiting, could I make a recommendation that we address his item first?
Sure. You want to do that? That's not a problem. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, special permit.
We
We don't need to go through the 5 factors, do we, since this is a
No, this is a special permit application.
It's not an area variance. Okay.
So I'll make the motion that we grant the special permit for Mr. Levin for his mother,
Daughter, I believe.
daughter, and get that to the building department so that they can issue it.
We have a second?
I second Craig's motion.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Andrew?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So, Mr. Levin, you do need to go to the building department and probably sign some paperwork, give them, do all the official paperwork that needs to be done.
Okay. Thank you. Can I ask, is the building department open and allowing people to come in to sign things right now?
I believe so, Jessica?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Just make sure you have a face mask on and bring your own pen.
Great. All right. Thank you. This has been very interesting and educational. I
But-
appreciate this.
Karen, has the paperwork been submitted yet to the planning board, to Gary?
I'm sorry, what?
The paperwork from our attorney. I mean, does he have to prepare all that?
He'll need the decision and the chair's signature on it before that permit can be issued, actually, yes.
Okay.
The decision's been drafted. I'll clean it up tomorrow, send it down to the chair for her review. And if she finds it satisfactory, she'll sign it and submit it to the building department.
So it might be a day or two, Mr. Levin, before it's all in.
Okay, then maybe I'll just try and go by sometime next week then.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah, should be good then.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
Thank you.
Welcome.
And welcome to Woodbury.
Thank you. It's very nice.
Good luck.
Looks like Mr. Buckley left. Do we want to do Mr. Buckley and then just read the decision for Aldi, or?
Yeah, Mr. Buckley's easy.
Yeah, he left, but I mean, we still have to do it. All right. So we're going to approve this, even though in anticipation of the mother coming from Cornwall? Is that what the general consensus is?
I don't see why not. I mean, nothing says that she has to be right there at that moment. When you grant these mother-daughters.
Yeah, I think we had one once where the woman was coming, like, I don't know. We had a discussion.
Right.
The mother was coming, weekends and 3 days out of the week or something. And
It was
Well,
my
you know,
neighbor. It was my neighbor Unpleasant.
is that who it was?
we know
Right,
that,
and that-
the mother is ill. She's recuperating at the other sister's house. But she plans on coming back. Why not just have the permit ready for them to come and sign when she returns?
Right. You're granting the permit for the named individual. When
Right.
it gets there, it matters not.
Right.
Yeah.
Still subject to an annual inspection, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
So why not
Rather
just get it
small.
done with?
Do you have something to say, Kevin? Because you kind of broke up.
No, I just think we should just have make a positive, decision for them. Grant them the special permit, and he'll have to come in and sign. We know who the mother is, and we know what her name is.
Okay.
That sounded like a motion.
I did, yes. I'll make that a motion.
I think Joe has something to say first.
Joe has something to say.
Okay. Sorry, Kevin, to give a dissenting opinion a bit on this one, not because I don't think the lady deserves a place to come home to, but the email did say that it had been over 2 years and so forth. I don't even know if she's ever going to come back. It is a temporary special permit that we grant. So, I mean, we have to take that into consideration. I was not happy about that one with the part-time occupant. And we went around about that one too. So I have a little bit about misgivings about this. I don't say that the Buckleys don't deserve it or that the lady doesn't have the right to come home to that. It was just, I'd like to have something a little more firm if ever we do this in the future, that she is actually going to come back there.
Well, anything's possible. I mean,
Yes, that's true, but
it's under the Mr. Buckley seemed
years,
sincere that as soon as she's able, she's going to come home. Why not? The permit's no good unless it's signed by him. But at least it's all dead. You don't want him to come back once she comes home.
I'm just saying it looks like it's been over 2 years. So that,
Well, it was a stroke.
Going to be, I'm just saying after 2 years is a long time, but I'm just saying it's a little on the nebulous side. I would have liked to have something a bit more firm.
Joe, this is not dissimilar to what you expressed with the applicant that I was describing earlier there on Pleasant.
That's correct.
And I guess not disagreeing with you, but my view is that you're granting a temporary permit, which is effectively renewable annually by virtue of the inspection, right? To the named applicant. It can't be used by anybody else. If it is used by anybody else, that's an inspection criteria effectively. So the permit would lapse at the time that it goes forward. So the worst you're doing is granting a permit for a year, if you want to think of it that way. That's the way I'm looking at it. You're granting a permit for a year, and if she doesn't show up and Gary says, this permit is lapsed, I'm not reissuing it, and you need to remove the stove, et cetera, that can be done. I don't see how you can require someone to have a specific date when they're going to show up, when they're going to come. You're preparing the mother-daughter for her use, essentially, and making it legal when she does come home.
That's an interesting take on it, Craig. I like that.
And Mr. Buckley could have very easily come in and says, hey, listen, I'm picking up my mother on Saturday, bringing her home. You know, the guy was honest with us, so why not just give him what he needs and let him hope for the best for his mother-in-law, and next year, if God willing, she's still with us, then Gary will renew it. If she's not, then it'll be void.
Just a
I just
thought.
have a quick question. Do we know if this was renewed last year? Was it renewed the year before?
There was no special permit because somehow it fell. Oh, yeah, this is the one that fell through the cracks. It has a building permit and a certificate of occupancy, and it's been used as a mother-daughter. But I guess the Buckleys didn't know they needed a special permit, and Gary never inspected because he didn't realize it was, it wasn't on his list.
I understand.
So it's probably been sitting there for the 2 years that she hasn't been there. It's been sitting there just like it's going to be sitting there till she comes home.
I would still like us to grant the special permit for them. It's only good for 1 year, like Craig says, and hopefully she gets well enough where she can return home.
Yeah, she's lucky that she got to leave a rehab center.
Yes.
And if it's been 2 years since the stroke, she's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And as he said, the only reason she's there is because the sister was working full time.
Right.
Was home full time, I'm sorry, and could take care of her. She wasn't working. So it's possible she could be, here in a month or two. We don't know.
Well, that's why I think we should just do it, get it done with form, and this way, if he wants to bring her home, everything's legal.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion for that.
Okay. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Let's take a vote. Andrew?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So we will grant the special permit for the Buckleys. And now we have the Aldi decision. We discussed it last time. We went through the 5 points. Mr. Dickover made a decision, wrote the decision. And here it is. Several pages of facts and findings. In employing the balancing tests set forth in Village Law, Section 7-712B, letter C, the board hereby grants the variances as requested upon the following conditions. The approval is not granted in a vacuum, but is rather one of 3 independent yet interconnected discretionary approvals, the other being within the jurisdiction of the Village Board of Architectural Review, ARB, and the Planning Board. As such, this grant of variance is conditioned upon approval of the proposed signage by the Village of Woodbury, ARB, and Planning Board. This approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals is intended to do no more than vary the specified strict limitation provisions of the code. The Planning Board and ARB remain possessed of all of their power and authority to review, limit, request modifications to, and to ultimately approve, absolutely or conditionally, any application in reference to this project as may come before each of them. Should the ARB or Planning Board require changes in the size, location, or configuration from what is shown on the sign plan before the Zoning Board of Appeals that require greater or different variances, the applicant must return to the Zoning Board of Appeals for further review and approval. And number 2, as noted above, this application is not decided in a vacuum, but is rather tied to a specific application for approval pending before the Planning Board and Architectural Review Board. Therefore, this approval is conditioned upon the applicant diligently pursuing his application before those boards. Should the applicant not have obtained approval from those boards within 180 days after final approval from the Planning Board upon its site plan application, it must then request an extension of this approval from this board. A failure to obtain either an approval from the Planning Board and ARB, Architectural Review Board, or an extension of this grant of variance from this board shall result without further action in a lapsing of this approval 180 days after the final approval from the Planning Board upon its site plan application. And ask for a vote, do roll call for the vote. Andrew,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and Kevin.
Aye.
Okay, so Aldi's gonna get their, I vote aye also, sorry. Aldi will get their sign, finally. All righty. Nothing further this evening. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote. Okay, everybody says aye. We don't need a roll call for that.
Definitely nice meeting you, Andrew.
Yes,
Hopefully
yes,
we'll be
very
able
nice.
to personally meet soon.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy the board. It can be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I attended a couple meetings in person on the other side, so I got to see both sides of it, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Good enough.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
Mr. Dickover, you're gonna send me the special permit.
Can I leave now?
Yeah, you can leave, Kevin.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Kevin.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Madam Chair, after I get back from my vacation in Hawaii, I'll send you that. All right, everyone.